Hello. So today I am going to be making some bread for a sourdough pizza. Here I've got a starter. It's about 2 cups of starter, which ends up being roughly 1 cup of flour and 1 cup of water. I say roughly because I don't know. I find that, especially with bread recipes, you don't have to be exact. And so it's also roughly 20 ounces, 18 to 20 ounces of starter. I have my starter divided up into these 2 jars, so I'm at this point pulling most of it out. So my pizza dough recipe is 3.5 cups flour to 4.5 cups flour, and then 1.5 cups water, and then 2 teaspoons salt, 1 teaspoon sugar, and then about 2 tablespoons olive oil. That's it. It's a very simple recipe. So at this point I have roughly 2 cups of sourdough starter, which is made up of flour and water. 1/2 cup flour, 1/2 cup water. So I minus a cup from my cup water from my recipe, so I need to add now 1/2 cup, which I've got right here. So add that first. This water I have in here is a mineral water. It doesn't have to be mineral water though. You can use anything, preferably you should use something without chlorine, but I've gotten away with making bread with water that has chlorine. It worked out fine. The thing about using chlorine is that it'll kill some of the yeast. It'll kill a lot of the yeast. I don't know the exact details of that, but I definitely know that when using non-chlorinated water, it has worked better. The salt that I just used was some pink or orange salt from Hawaii, which isn't anything special. I got it from World Market. And then this is Trader Joe's sea salt. So at this point I've added all the water. I like to mix it up to add some little bit of oxygen, aerate the mixture. Oxygen helps the yeast reproduce. Sometimes I set this aside and let it let the yeast do their stuff with the added water. This time I'm just going to go straight through. So at this point there's a cup of flour in it. I've added the salt. I should add the sugar now so I don't forget. I'm just using C&H pure sugar. Use any sugar. My philosophy with making bread is to stick to this one recipe, which I modify it slightly if I'm making loaf breads. It's basically a little bit more water, a little bit more flour, and I don't add sugar to my loaf breads. So now I'm going to start adding the flour. There's already 1 cup in there, so I'm going to add, so this is, add another 1/2 cup, so I just added 1/2 of this. And get that mixed in. So what you want to do when you're making bread I found is to slowly add the flour, about a half cup at a time. You don't have to be OCD about it. So now I've just added a cup, so now there's a total of 2 cups in this mixture. So I'm shooting for around 1.5, but really you know how much flour you need by the consistency of the dough as it's coming together, and you'll figure that out over time, after doing it a few times. The experience. The first few times I made bread of any kind, I basically fought with the dough because it sticks to my hands, which is a very uncomfortable feeling, and I didn't know why. I didn't know how to let it do that, but I find that I have less problems with that now because I have a feel for when the dough's coming together, what it's going to do. I'm pretty sure there's something that happens with the further kneading, with the further as you mix it, as you knead the dough, it stays to itself better, and I think that has something to do with the glutens. I don't completely understand. Oh, by the way, I'm using unbleached all-purpose flour from Trader Joe's, which it's not my preferred flour, but I don't actually know that I've noticed a huge difference between this and using a bread flour such as King Arthur's bread flour. Okay, so it's starting to come together, and you can kind of see. So with the pizza dough recipe, you want to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I just do it all at once. I always put a little bit extra. I tend to put a little bit extra of everything when I make recipes, which is silly, but again, I don't, in my experience, bread making does not have to be exact. And especially since, so I've been making bread for maybe a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, with a few experiments before that. But so, I find that not trying to be exact allows for a understanding through feeling how things come together. I haven't screwed up a lot. A few times that I've screwed up was when I put in 2 tablespoons of salt instead of 2 teaspoons. Anyway, so now I got the olive oil in, I mixed it up a few times, I added a little bit more flour, and now you can see that the dough is together and it's staying together. My hands aren't getting too sloppy. I like to knead it inside the bowl at first, and I like to try to put as little flour as I need. I actually think I put probably a little too much in this batch because Usually it's a little bit stickier than this. And usually I have to continue to add as I go, but I'm not sure. I don't think that I'll need to add at this point. So at this point, I continue this. So I knead in the bowl for a little while, and I end up picking it up and kneading between my hands because I enjoy that, because then I'm able to walk around with it. And see, now I'm starting to feel starting to feel it sticking to my hands, so I need to add a little bit of flour. Yeah, so I do this for 15 minutes. It strengthens the glutens or something. And then after doing this for 15 minutes, I will be setting it aside to rise for about 2 hours. Then I divide it into two, let it sit again, and then it's ready to be thrown into pizzas. Sticky, so I put it back in the bowl to pick up a little bit more flour. And I just want enough flour so that it's not sticking to my hands. Because at a certain point it'll become, it won't stick to your hands much at all.